Tonight on News 25 Nightside, there's a budget deal in Washington. We'll tell you who's affected. Peoria police say they're being stretched thin, and old-timers on ice for a good cause. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom McIntyre. Ashley McNamee has the night off. Knox County Police, along with Illinois State Police investigators, looking into how a man's body came to be found off a rural road in Knox County this afternoon. Police said the body of the white man between the ages of 35 and 40 was found off Knox Road shortly before noon today. The name of the deceased not being released pending notification of next of kin. A preliminary observation showed no signs of foul play. An autopsy now scheduled for tomorrow. In Washington today, something that seemed impossible. Congress has actually made a budget compromise to keep the government going through October, ending the cuts of the sequestration and the chance of a government shutdown. As Steve Handelsman reports, the deal helps real people, many of them very young.
The 3-year-olds at the Musique Center in Washington love Head Start.
I feel happy about my school.
A 5% sequestration budget cut here gets reversed.
The best news that we've had in Head Start for a long time.
You think Head Start really works?
I know Head Start really works. I'm a former Head Start parent myself.
Helping programs like this was President Obama's goal.
Most importantly, we want to make sure that every American is able to benefit from that recovery.
The $1 trillion bipartisan spending bill prevents another government shutdown. The House today voted 3 days of temporary funding. The main measure is set to pass this week. It restores Pentagon funding for warships and planes and raises soldiers' pay. There's more for highways and research at NIH. Saturday mail delivery is saved. Obamacare is untouched, but high-speed rail gets cut. Not in the deal is hiking the debt ceiling.
I'm encouraged that we are going to proceed, and nobody wants to default on our debt.
Extending unemployment benefits is not in the new deal.
Continues to exclude the over 1 million Americans who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own.
But the kids who lost their Head Start funding will get it back. Here's the timing. House passage probably tomorrow, the Senate probably Saturday, and so far, Tea Party lawmakers, blamed by many up here for the government shutdown, are not standing in the way. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Capitol Hill.
That budget package reportedly includes money for rehabbing Thompson Prison to federal standards. The long-closed Illinois prison sold to the federal government by the state, but money has not been allocated to open it until now. It could still take 2 years before Thompson is fully functional. And airport control towers are funded. That includes the Central Illinois Regional Airport in Bloomington. A sigh of relief after last year's proposal from the FAA to close 149 towers. Sierra's traffic control tower costs $500,000 annually, supports more than 1,200 direct or indirect jobs. U.S. Senators Dick Durbin and Mark Kirk calling on FEMA to level the playing field following a disaster. FEMA's got a damage per capita equation when deciding on federal disaster assistance. Illinois denied federal assistance to local governments in the wake of the deadly November tornadoes. Same thing happened in 2012 when a series of tornadoes hit Harrisburg and Ridgeway, Illinois. Durbin and Kirk say that's because FEMA's funding formula, quote, disfavors geographically large states with large populous urban centers. Charter Oak Elementary School Principal John Witterauer's job remains in limbo tonight. Witterauer been on administrative leave for over a month now, while District 150 officials investigated testing irregularities of special needs students. In a 29-page report published last night, District 150 officials claim that 4 Charter Oak teachers admitted to controversial testing practices dating back to 2008. Others were never ISAT trained. Parents say the district's investigation pointing the finger points at the wrong person. News 25's Roseanne Aragon has our story.
Nobody intentionally violated any testing protocols.
Parents at Charter Oak Primary School are sticking to their guns. In a District 150 hearing Monday night, the district explained their investigation's findings.
26 special education kids. There were inaccuracies from the testing that they did in middle school when compared to the testing that they their test results from primary school.
The district is pointing fingers at Principal John Wetterauer and 4 teachers. Investigators say that group spoke to them about what they did.
There were no confessions. I think that during these interviews, things might have been taken out of context.
Documents indicate teachers admitted to helping students during exams, erasing answers, and more.
They're calling it something that it's not. When they're saying that people were cheating, it might be as simple as somebody walking past and the kid needing help and needing something read to them.
These 26 kids have individualized education plans that include things like maybe you need the questions read out loud, maybe you need the questions read twice.
The district says Principal Wetterauer failed to train teachers properly, but these parents disagree on who's responsible.
The leader of our district has a history of not giving special education teachers the type of training that is necessary when dealing with special education kids.
And they're not done asking questions.
It just doesn't sit right with any of us Charter Oak parents right now, and we're just going to continue fighting to just make sure that all the information available is shared.
State Board of Education is reviewing the district's investigation. It can accept it, conduct its own investigation, or dismiss the entire case altogether. What we do know is District 150 won't lose any state funding. Taxpayers won't be punished for whatever went on. Those accused of wrongdoing may be. Some Peoria police officers are worried their resources are being stretched thin, and a delay in hiring new police officers only prolongs that. Peoria Police Benevolent Union president before the City Council tonight saying he's concerned about the safety of officers. 17 positions went unfilled earlier this month. The next opportunity to get new officers into training doesn't come till April.
We were told of this after the fact, and we have never been provided with an actual reason why these officers are not being hired as originally planned.
And where we were ultimately, we didn't get the paperwork in and get everything slated the way that we needed to. We'll have to take it forward from there and get the positions filled in April as quickly as we can.
Officer Eric Ellis suggests the city start hiring officers with previous experience so they won't have to go through the training institute. Meanwhile, the City Council has decided tonight to defer an issue regarding Exposition Gardens. The motion was to restrict the kinds of activities that could be held there. In the past, neighbors have complained about noise and dust coming from the facility. That issue's now been will be taken up at the February 11th council meeting. And for those interested in attending a planning commission meeting tomorrow regarding that proposed sports complex out by the shops at Grand Prairie, you probably should wait. City staff says the issue will most likely be deferred at tomorrow's meeting, at least for a couple of weeks. It is still scheduled to go to the City Council floor at the February 11th meeting. Tonight, the council scheduled a public hearing regarding sewer rates. Meanwhile, that impacts those within the city that aren't served by the Greater Peoria Sanitary District. City's proposing a 15% increase this year, another 5% next year. They say that's to keep up with expenses. The hearing is scheduled for January 28th, 6:15, before the Peoria City Council meeting. More to come tonight for Lincoln and your hometown. Still ahead, the Freedom of Marriage Act in Illinois. But first, this, unfortunately for the rest of us, is not speeded up video.
And it's going to be a cold night tonight. We're going to see temperatures drop from the 20s into the teens. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to see wind chills in the single digits, 15 degrees as you're waking up tomorrow. I'll have more on that in our full forecast coming up next.
You're watching your home team at 10 with Tom McIntyre, Ashley McNamee, and Chief Meteorologist Chuck Collins. This is News 25 Nightside at 10.